Welcome back to another installment of Iron Therapy, and we are actually live here today. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today's show is a fun one. I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. Of course, I'm joined by my compatriot here in crime, our RX Muscle staff psychotherapist, Lesley, Timbo, and our special guest today, Seth Feroce. You guys all know him. What's up, Seth?
What's happening? Excited to be here. Love this stuff.
Yeah, I know you love this stuff, and this is like a topic right up your alley because, Lesley and I were talking, I think it was about a week or two ago, and I was like, it's so hard for bodybuilders to actually have families. Like, I'm not talking about a wife. I'm talking about a wife is hard enough, or a husband's hard enough. I'm talking about kids, raising kids while you're actually competing. You did it, and you did it pretty much yourself. And I think the story is a freaking amazing story, of how you did this. And it just goes... It's a testament to your mental fortitude. Tell us give us the lead up to getting married, having kids, that kind of thing, and what happened.
Well, for sure. I appreciate it saying all that. It's great and wonderful. Raising kids is the most intense thing that people will ever do, in my opinion. I absolutely love it. But and I never thought I would have 3 kids of my own. I always envisioned myself, like, before kids, I always thought of myself as being the guy of being the traveling bodybuilder, moving to California or Florida, or doing something and just traveling and being that bodybuilder, like not having a family and settling down and all that. So my first 2 children, my 2 girls, are with my ex-wife. We got pregnant in college, and they were a surprise. Adeline, my firstborn, she was a surprise. She was not planned. Had her in college, and it was an oh shit, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do moment in life. Oh, yeah. I was 22 years old. I do not know adult life without children.
Were you bodybuilding
None.
at that time? No.
My wild ass. So at that point, I was doing everything like a bodybuilder. I did everything but compete. Okay. And at that moment,
let me ask you a question. I don't want to interrupt you.
And I was at college, and I had to fast track to graduate ahead of time. So made sure I graduated. What's that?
I want to I think that is your phone on Wi-Fi, or is it on the?
I don't know if my service is bad here. What'd you say?
Can you put it on Wi-Fi? Your phone?
I think that's where I'm at. Let me see what's going on.
You might. It sounds like it's almost like might be on the on your phone service, as opposed to Wi-Fi.
Try this again.
Yeah.
Am I any better? No.
Is it? You switched it to Wi-Fi? I just want to make sure people can hear you because it was a little broken up.
Yeah. How about now?
I think it's better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm on my Wi-Fi. I don't know why I'm getting such a bad connection.
Yeah.
I apologize.
No problem.
Let me go in here. It might be better if I'm in a different room. Somehow that might make a difference.
We'll sacrifice the American flag for good service. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll move into this.
Right.
Yep, got to have an 8-foot American flag in there somewhere, huh?
Yes. All right. You got a few TVs in that room, huh?
Oh yeah, podcast rooms. We have all this in here. Yeah. Let's see. How can I?
Yeah, face the window. That's perfect.
Yeah. Rig this up here.
Are you in your office right now?
No, this is my office is in the room over there. This is the podcast / conference room that we use.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, you have it set up. Really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're in college. You had a surprise baby. Then go ahead.
Yes, surprise child. And this is one thing that, me and you probably discussed this over the years, but I was on just about everything under the sun at this moment too. Oh, so I'm thinking, there's no way. There's no way. So, but got pregnant, and then I had a fast track to graduate on time, which I did. But then we moved to Ohio for a job for a construction job after college. Went out there, and I met a great group of guys that all competed, and they were like, "Hey, dude, it's time for you to compete." And
Right.
at that time, I'm super young. I'm 23 years old. And I was like, okay, I'm down for it. I'm all for competing. I think this was always a goal of mine to compete. And then at the time, my wife, then Elise, she was supportive of it, but then realized that, oh shit, this is absolutely insane. You are crazy. You're crazy.
The
So,
bodybuilding was crazy, she thought, in other words.
oh, the bodybuilding is so crazy, and it's not for everybody. It's an acquired taste. It's a very selfish sport. You have to be prepared for it. And at the time, she was very supportive, very understanding that, like, hey, I think you're really good at this, and I think that you might actually make it. Like, so I'm going to support you and make sure this goes well, which you need. But then it's every day at the gym. So the support system is very important.
Right.
So we were in Ohio whenever I did my first show, and part of my whole thing is, like, with kids, whenever you're having kids and you're competing and you're going through all of it, oh man, look at that shot.
How young you look.
So yeah, I know. So that was in the beginning, and then I did my first show that way. But like my saying today goes, being a hardworking motherfucker was, like, whenever it was time to be dad, it was time to be dad. When it was time to do bodybuilding stuff, it was time to do bodybuilding stuff and train. Whenever it is a certain time to do anything, it's time to do that. And you do that to your best ability, your best of your abilities. So because not enough people compartmentalize their days to be successful in what they're actually doing. So with that, it was like, okay, bodybuilding was great. I won my show. It was awesome. It was super strenuous on the home life. It was super intense on my ex-wife. However, I was succeeding at bodybuilding. I was winning. And then we ended up moving back home to Pittsburgh right before I turned pro at Nationals. Right before Nationals, moved back to Pittsburgh, and it was like, okay, we need to start making a little bit more real money. So that was whenever my ex-wife, she started working at the bank and became very successful with that. And I was bodybuilding 24/7. But I also wasn't hiring a babysitter because we didn't really have those type of funds to be able to afford like $300 to $400 a week in daycare. So all I did was be a dad. I was a bodybuilding 24/7, and then just had Adeline with me all day, every day. Wow. From the time I woke up to do my cardio, she was with me, till the time we went to bed at night, she was with me. So Adeline, my oldest, right there in the picture, that's a 14-year-old high school student now, that's the most terrifying moments of my life. She's seen it all. She's seen Dad.
I got news for you. I'd be terrified if I was any guy that ever asked her out on a date and saw you when I walked in the house.
They tell her, they're like, "Oh my God, your dad's so big," and this and that, and she's like, "He's actually kind of small. Like, he's really trimmed down. He's pretty skinny." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You've never seen my dad out of his mind." And so what's pretty cool about having Lesley on today is that Adeline has literally seen me in my most intense moments of training. Like, she's seen me train for pro shows. She's seen me train, like, at the gym. She was with me, like, right next to me, and seeing all this intensity and all this mayhem that it took to get to this level. So, like, and everything that she does in her life and how incredible she's becoming, I'm kind of like, I don't mean to say I did a really good job, but this kid is an absolute fucking savage, like a savage. And I'm kind of like, there's moments whenever I look at Hannah, my fiance now, and I'm like, hey, it's like, this isn't normal for a 14-year-old. She's like, fuck no, dude. She's like, this is unreal. And I'm like,
he takes after you. Right. That's why. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But again, it's one of those things that, like, in those moments, like, she's 2-3 years old and she's with me 24/7. So she's literally seeing me. You guys know me as this really intense character on the internet, and I am that, and even more so in certain aspects of my life. And she's watching it all with me in the vehicles, with me when I'm eating, and watching me be so precise and perfect and a little OCD at those moments. And she's seeing it all. And now, like, the child does not procrastinate. I'm like, this is unusual. And then whenever it comes to gymnastics, she's a level 9 regional gymnast, and
Oh,
she's a
wow.
straight A student, and she's all these incredible things. And I'm like, oh, like, kid, I was not like you when I was 14. You're like me when I was 25. A little crazy.
Lesley, is that nature or nurture?
It's a little bit of both, because the thing is, you can still have a kid and they could be the total opposite of you, Seth.
Right.
But, so, I mean, there's a little bit of both. I mean, obviously kids want to emulate their parents. You're the role model.
So, and I'm
taught her a lot of
with
life skills.
Yeah, I'm fascinated with that nature versus nurture concept, because Adeline has literally watched me for so many years, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of qualities in there of me that my other daughter I haven't quite seen with yet. And I'm kind of like the intensity and the aggressiveness towards life, Adeline definitely possesses. And I'm like, I think that's nature, or that's nurture. I think she's seen too much of me.
Seth, growing, when you were at first competing, you were very kind of quiet. You weren't this like crazy intense guy. You might have been out of the spotlight, but in the spotlight, you kind of had this like, I'm going to be a good guy, and I'm just going to do my thing. And, and I didn't really ever pick that up about you, that you were so intense like that, because I wasn't really, personal friends with you. When did you decide, you know what, I'm just going to let it all hang out at this point,
So that's part of the, and this is, this is no knock on absolutely anybody that's ever sponsored me and supported me throughout my entire career. But whenever I came into the industry with Muscle Tech, I was the clean cut white guy. And
you were gay.
And they played that card with me, and I was like, okay, like, I'm broke as a motherfucker, and you guys are paying me, so I will be the clean cut white guy. You got it, guys. And whenever we would go to trade shows, I was having the time of my life as well. Like, dude, being a sponsored bodybuilder, hanging out, seeing Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, Branch Warren, Johnny Jackson, like, I'm soaking it in. It was hard for me not to be. It was hard for me not to act like a little kid there. But when I trained, I was always intense, because the intensity is just what worked for me. But I was the clean cut white guy, and clean cut white kids bought lots of supplements. And that was pretty much that concept that I was like, okay, this is my role, and that's who I'm going to be. Hence, like, whenever I came back onto the scene in 2016, I was like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to be me 100% of the time. Just because, like, it wasn't that it was bad, but I don't want to ever like restrict myself from saying something that I don't feel personally about. I'm just going to be me.
What? Tell the fans and people out there who might not know, why did you step away? Because you disappeared for a while. I mean, you were at the top of your game. You were a top 212 guy,
Yes. So that's part of like this whole reason we're actually on the call now. Bodybuilding is the most selfish sport known to man. It's the most intense, selfish sport, in my opinion, because it's all based on you and your perfect day. And everybody knows the more perfect and the more precise you are, the better you will get. And bodybuilding is a time sport. It's like we get better with age, and you're like, you're full of shit. I'm like, you will. You'll get better. You're an acquired taste. So what occurred was in 2012, my home life with my ex-wife was not going well. And she was having some personal problems, and with bodybuilding being as intense as it was, and the pressure that was on me and I put on myself to do well and be, I never lost a bodybuilding show, and you're the great white hype, Seth. You're going to kill it, and you're going to be rivaling Flex Lewis. It was a lot of pressure for a kid that wasn't really having a great time at home because of the intensity of the sport, which I thought. So in 2012, I didn't do too well at the Toronto show. And then my body fell apart at Sarasota. And at that point, like, my home life was an absolute train wreck. It was very, very bad. And it wasn't what I was reflecting now. It wasn't me as a father. It was what I thought bodybuilding was causing this massive rift in my life. It was causing a huge problem in my home life. I was losing bodybuilding shows. My wife at the time, she got heavy into drugs. She became an addict, and I was like, I have to stop this mayhem and fix my family. So in 2012, 2013, I stepped away. I was like, this is not for me. My family's more important to me. I'm going to make sure I spend time at home. So that's whenever I got a regular job. I started landscape and doing anything to make ends meet. I told Muscle Tech, I no longer want your contract. They said, please don't leave. We'd love to. Muscle Tech was a tremendous sponsor.
So they were going to stay on paying you, huh?
They wanted to continue to pay me $4,500 a month just for me to be there.
Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't you do that?
because I'm a nice, dumb guy. I'm some kid.
Holy mackerel.
I was like, because again, I was in a really bad spot personally. I'm like, I don't need your money. You guys keep it. And the athlete manager's like, are you serious right now? I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving. And they're like, no. Wow. And I'm like, yes. So
right, now I'm going to get you. Hold on. Now I need you analyzed for a second. Now we got to go to Lesley for a second. Lesley, what's going on in his head now? Did he have to like completely separate himself? Why did he give up the money? There's definitely a psychological reason he did that.
Well, here's the thing. Bodybuilding is important for sure, not just for Seth, but for many people. But the thing is, when you think about your family, the family is more important. So when the family is a wreck, you have to kind of look at it and say, okay, I have to reorganize something. So we get into this all or nothing thinking. So it's like we're all into bodybuilding. And if we're not, then we have to step away from it and really focus on the family. And that's my guess, Seth. I mean, you can check, let me know your thoughts on that. But I think you had to make that mind shift to saying, this is fucked up, excuse my language, but I have to make a big change. So it's literally, I'm out. I need to put all my energy into my family and fix this first.
I am. That is a great thing and a horrible thing about me. I'm an all or nothing guy. All or nothing. It's not good quality.
So let me ask you, were you having trouble paying bills after that? Because you went from getting, a nice check every month that's probably covered most of your expenses. Was it stressful?
Yeah. But here's the thing. I literally looked at bodybuilding that it was the problem. Now, again, that was what I was thinking right there. Bodybuilding was not the problem. Bodybuilding was not the problem. My ex-wife had an issue that needed to be taken care of. And what I've learned with addiction, and it seems to go across the board with everybody, it is a personal issue that every single individual that is an addict battles. And it's their own personal battle. I took her to clinics and rehabs and anything I could do to support her. And what I found out was none of that mattered. None of it. It was on her to finally decide to get herself clean. And for me, someone that wants to help people, like I love helping people. I love seeing people do a good job and get better. And my like involvement, and the more involved I got with it, pushed her further away and further into a bad spot. Like right now, we have some communication, but not very much, but just because it's a hard trust thing for me. But me getting out of her life and us separating, I think was probably the best thing that could have occurred. So I look back at now in 2012, was it bodybuilding? It was probably a contributing factor to it, but nothing in my home life really got better after that. We tried, multiple things, the typical young thing of all of a sudden having another kid, which is Emmy, my youngest daughter, thinking, yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like, you're trying anything to make life better at home and all this, and it just doesn't work. And I think that's one of those young people qualities that you're like, you dumb kid. Like, no, that's not the answer. Don't buy
That's why I waited till I was almost 50 to have kids then. I'm an old dad.
So, and those things, and that's where, like, looking back now, whenever I get a ton of these questions in my DMs from people about having personal life problems, and I know I've gone through quite a bit, and I'm like, dude, it's just life. You're gonna go for a ride, but make the decision that you believe is right in your heart and go from there. And whenever you do involve children, whenever you do have a child, now you're bringing life into this world. So it's going to be very serious. Like, you have to take that serious. You have to understand that is a piece of you going to carry on in life, and it's going to take parts of you away. And what I think I've done a very good job of is like that HWMF mentality, being a hardworking motherfucker, is like, whatever I'm doing at this very moment, I'm all in. Whenever I go home, dude, I can't take all of my work home with me, even though I do sometimes. I got to be dad. When it's time to be dad, just be dad. When it's time to be owner of Axe and Sledge in a meeting, be the owner of Axe and Sledge in that meeting. When it's time to train, you train. And I, as years have gone on, I've learned how to separate all of those and just get better. Like, I think that's the only way to go about it. It's insanely difficult.
How do you do that?
Difficult.
I mean, Seth figured it out. I don't know if I've even figured it out because I'm working all the time. I'm always working. Even when I'm with my kids, I'm working. How do you separate that? I mean, how do you compartmentalize that, you know? Les.
Oh, so you're asking me. Okay.
Yeah, you're the expert.
I thought you were asking Seth. Well, okay. So keep in mind that we do that anyway. So let's say as a coach, you're going to have different types of clients. Some clients you have to really, you know, do a lot of tough love with. And some they don't need as much. Some you give a really hard time with. So you kind of acclimate, you become a chameleon based on the needs. So you have to reassess to saying, what am I needed? So think of it like almost like a character. You put on different hats. So like what Seth was saying, you know, when I have the bodybuilder hat on, I'm all in. If I'm at work, I'm in that kind of personnel. If I'm mom or dad, I'm in that role. So it's kind of like you learn based on adapting to the needs of the situation. So to me, like for me, that's always been easy for me to do. So I've never struggled with that personally. You learn how to do that because if you end up taking a hat and you take it into another realm that shouldn't be there, you're going to feel the effects because you're not going to be as effective. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's based on your feedback, and then you have to kind of fine tune it.
I struggle with that. I really do.
I was going to say I did in the beginning as well. And then like what really separated whenever I was away and then came back was like having my children and my family. Like bodybuilding is a lifestyle. It's not so much like people try to treat it like a job. Like, dude, you're eating every 3 hours. You're training 5-6 days a week. You're doing your cardio. It is a lifestyle. So what I've done, and Hannah, my fiance now, we've been together for going on 5 years, is our lifestyle is based around healthy eating, physical activity, involving our children and making sure that they're on a routine as well. Because I think the more of a routine the kids are on, that the better they're able to also compartmentalize school, gymnastics, food, you know, hanging out with a bad crowd, so to say. So we've just really, our whole entire life revolves around a healthier day-to-day routine with food, physical activity, and of course being intense. Like I teach my kids, we teach our kids to be intense. Like if you're going to go after something, whenever you're doing gymnastics, I don't need you fucking off. I need you focused on gymnastics because you're incredibly talented. Whenever you're doing your schoolwork, focus on your schoolwork, because then after you complete that, you can go on to do something else.
I'd like Seth to come to my house and deal with my son. I need to send him over to you for a month or so to get him straight. He's all over the place.
Two girls are incredible. This boy that I have is buddy. That's girls. I'm good with the girls.
You're doing girls. My girls are not a problem. It's my son that I need help.
Yeah.
The
boys are different. Wow. They are very different.
They are different. Now, I mean, you're successful now. You're making money, so money is not an issue anymore in terms of like, I got to pay the bills. You know, you got that covered. All right. Sure. Now that you're in that position, your kids are getting a little older now. At least the daughters. Do you ever get that itch to want to go back to bodybuilding? Because you do have unfinished business in a sense, you know.
Dave, I hate you so much. Listen, it's funny you said that. It's funny you said that because, like, I had the health scare a couple years ago, and it really was just making sure I stayed on top of my blood work, and realizing how important those things are. Like, I caused a lot of waves with that because, you know, there's a lot of. It seems like the industry has had like a resurgence of young people that are doing dumb shit. It's like, hey, let's not do dumb shit. But at the same time,
that was probably your most epic rant they've ever heard, Seth.
I kind of flew off the handlebars a little bit, huh?
Yeah, he's like, you're gonna fucking die, you bodybuilder. Just know it. You're gonna fucking die. I mean, it was really, it was,
But
I hope he scared the shit out of some of these people doing crazy stuff, but it was
dude,
necessary.
listen,
It was epic rant.
I loved it.
I've never heard more crazy stories from young people in my life. I'm like, what are you doing taking 1,000 mgs of Tren?
Right?
That's a lot. That's a lot. So, but that video, like whenever I did that, it was a shock and awe type of thing. And like with me having that health scare, like over the past 2 years, I've run about me becoming a 50% vegan because all I do is eat meat, fruits, and veggies, like just jerking everybody off, making them angry about something. Yeah, good job. And but my health, I mean, it's incredible right now. It's great. I'm super fit, all this great stuff. And recently I'm like, man, like if there is one regret I do have, it's not competing more. Like I've been, for the past few weeks, I've been training much harder with bodybuilder workouts because I was like, I need to switch it up. I got super bored with the functional workouts. And I'm like, man, I was like, this feels so right. It feels so right. I hate it so much. And
well, your body responds. You're a hyper responder too, you know. So
and it's just me, because Hani was on me last time he was up. He's like, dude, you're not eating enough. Look at you. You look like a vegan. And I'm like, dude, shut up. So I'm eating like 3,500 calories a day again, and I'm like, man, this feels so right. And of course it pops into my head, and I'm like, and you know, I'd be lying if I didn't say I thought about it. Like, man, a comeback would be cool.
How old are you?
But it's 37.
Oh, you're young still.
So young.
Yeah.
Well, you got another run.
Still,
Ringo made a comeback at 38.
I know. I've
that 212 title is just staring you right in the face there. I mean, come on, it's open.
Man, but here's the thing. This is where, you know, I'll do my poses and I'll go through my checks just to keep myself on task. Like, hey, like, you know, helps keep me on task. And I was looking and I'm like, man, I was like, there's some really complete guys out there that would just make a mockery of me. They'd make me look like such shit. I'm like, oh man, like looking at
you haven't
and all the young
done
guys.
Anything though yet. You haven't done anything. Your body, you know, your body explodes, man. When you,
it might. I love your enthusiasm and your positivity, Dave.
I'd rather you do it than me. I can't do it. I'm crippled at this point. But no, seriously, I know it's. Look, you left at a time when you really, like you said, you didn't have to leave, but you did in a sense because you did it for your family. But it was like an all or none thing. You didn't like kind of just drift away and maybe take a year off or something like that. You went completely opposite direction. So there has to be some kind of in your mind unfinished business. But can you ever, you know, I guess now that you're older, do you think that you can do it all? Like compete, run your business, be a family man, and you feel comfortable that you have that all balanced now?
I mean, yes, I have tremendous business partners.
Yeah.
I think
that's awesome.
I mean, the big part is you know, the financial stability was something that I always worked for in my life, and I think that every single person works for that. And the whole like truly happy thing, like, will you ever be truly happy? I don't know if that exists. No. Because no, right? Because I'm always chasing something. There's always something that I'm like, I want. And now that like the companies are doing incredibly well, like it's amazing where they are and my business partners and everything they've done. And I sit here and I'm like, okay, this is all great, but like, what's next? Like, what are we going to do next? We're always searching, we're always pushing, we're always wanting more. And then along there, that's like from a business standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, like, I think that's why we all continue to lift weights. That's why I continue to try different things, the hunting and the outdoor excursions, and then the functional and fuckable stuff, but then also lifting weights like bodybuilding. Like, I'm really good at bodybuilding. Like, I just like it. So
that's recent, right there.
Yeah, that's probably from a couple weeks ago.
You look fucking huge. You're shredded.
I mean, I am pretty balanced with my food. Like, I don't like flying off the handlebars too far anymore. My stomach can't handle it, but I do love to eat. I still am a fat guy.
You look like you're currently competing. You're better than 98% of the people out there, probably right now. You know. Crazy.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much.
Yeah. You know what? I got in trouble as a kid. They always said Dave was an instigator of trouble. You know, so.
I was just gonna say. Now I'm gonna receive.
I didn't get in trouble. I
texts.
instigated it. Yeah, I instigated trouble.
But no, I think that as I've gotten older, and I think that that's why a lot of people ask these questions in my DMs and things, is that they're like, "How do you do it? Like, what do you do?" Like, my girlfriend's not. A lot of young guys right now. Again, it's that resurgence of young people being like, "My girlfriend doesn't support my bodybuilding life," and I'm like, "You have a decision to make, then, bud. Like, you have a decision to make of like, I'm no longer going to be with you, or I'm no longer going to bodybuild." Because I can tell you right now, if she doesn't like you now, wait till you're 4 weeks out and on some trend. She's going to hate you. I'm going to hate you.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
And those are the things that like, and then dads are like, "Hey, you know, like I've been getting really aggressive on trend, getting ready for my show. Like I've been a little aggressive around my kids." And I'm like, okay, like that's normal, but you cannot like be physically aggressive with them. That's a no-go. Okay.
I tell people, you know what? I tell people, stop the trend. You don't need to take trend to compete. If you can't function on it, then don't use it.
No.
Simple solution.
No.
You got to quit bodybuilding because you can't use trend. Just stop the trend. That's all.
And again, these are simple answers that you and I know because we've been doing it so long. But like there's a lot of people out there that genuinely believe they need 700 megs of tren a week,
or they need to bankrupt
get
their
to
family
the next
by
level.
GH. Would you ever spend money on GH before you pay your mortgage?
What's with the deal with every? No. And I also don't know what's the deal with everybody having to take Serostim. Like that's all I hear is everybody's has to. And I'm like, it's great, but I'm like, do you know how expensive that is? Like that's still a lot for me. Like that's still a lot. Yeah. Like it's a shitload of money.
You know what's
so it's super interesting to learn more about what's going on.
The problem is, Seth, I think there's so many fake drugs out there. I think that's the problem. So people are nervous about that. You know, that's really what it is. All right, before we wrap up.
Point. I was asking whenever. No, go ahead. You're good.
No. Again, I think there's a little delay or something like that going on.
Yeah. We're good. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say if you had to like give our audience like 3 pieces of advice, okay, to be able to be a great bodybuilder and still keep your family where you're not going to get divorced and never see your kids again. What's the 3 most important things that you should focus on as far as being a family man and bodybuilding? How integrating those?
So you, from a standpoint, like from a general standpoint, that you already have a family and you really, I'm going to do a couple here, but from the standpoint of having a family right now, you need, before you start anything, you need to actually trial compartmentalizing everything, in my opinion. Like if you already can't do those things, you need to run a trial for like a month. Are you able to stay on a strict diet? Because that's mentally difficult for some people. Stay on a strict diet, train 5 days a week, do morning cardio, work, and still go to your son's baseball game and do everything they need to. You need to do a trial run and see how your family, your wife, because Hannah is my support system. That bitch is my rock. She is my angel. She is my savior. If she was not here, I would not do well. So, which leads me into my next thing with young men. You need to find a life partner. You need to take the time to actually find a life partner, not a fuck buddy, not somebody that's a great friend with benefits, not a good old wholesome there. You need to find a life partner, somebody that you can actually like share life with. Because if one day you want to actually have children together, but you need to make sure that you two get along and can actually coexist as individuals together, making each other better. I think that that's something today that young people, I'm not up with all the young guys, but I don't know if it's being taken as serious enough. Finding a life partner is incredibly important for young men, because you need to be a man. You need to go after aggressive. You need to be aggressive with life and go after your hopes and your dreams, and at the same time supporting her while she's supporting you. So having a life partner and finding and taking the time to find that one is very important, in my opinion. Because if doing a bodybuilding show in a relationship is a great test, because you're going to be testy. You're going to have to sacrifice going out with friends. You're going to have to sacrifice time with her for the gym, for just being a miserable bastard, not wanting to do anything. All these different things are going to occur during that time. So it's a good gauge of whether or not you two should be together, and vice versa for her competing as well. But I think for me, the most important thing, having a busy lifestyle, is being able to compartmentalize and separate everything, but also do them at a very high level still. And be yourself. Be yourself. Super important.
You don't want to sell yourself out for being something that you're not, essentially.
Do not ever do that.
I think today with social media, it's important to be yourself, because I think people, that's what they buy into, authenticity, right?
Oh yeah, I think people will catch on pretty quick nowadays. And there's people out there that are still influencers, but we're all influencers to whatever degree you want to say. But the ones that are just they're too salesy. Just be yourself. And in a relationship, that's the most important thing to do, is be yourself, because if you do build a family and you do have kids together, like, they're going to emulate you. So just naturally be yourself. Don't try to be something that you're not. And yeah, don't do that. I've seen that happen one too many times.
Do you find that once you have kids, it changes the nature of your relationship with your wife?
Yeah, to a certain degree, for sure. I think, like I said, I've always been intense. I haven't stopped swearing. Maybe that might have been something that I should have stopped doing a little bit, but it's, I think our relationship has gotten better with children. Hannah and I have been together for 5 years. I had the 2 girls. She's been raising them and taking care of them for 5 years. Our Emmy, who literally is a spitting image of Hannah, does everything like her. She's not her child. So that nature versus nurture thing, I'm like, nurture is strong in this relationship there. But I think that it's made us better together, because then we're able to share the moments that we want to. The vacations are more intimate. The time alone is more intimate, because we know it is limited. Because once it's, my Monday morning, like today, it was like, all right, we got a week of mayhem. Let's get
back to work. Right. Back to work. Exactly. I know that. My mother used to say to me every Sunday night, school tomorrow, because she couldn't wait till we went off to school. We were driving her crazy for the weekend. Lesley, you have a show coming up this weekend.
Yes.
You're in zombie mode right now. What have you noticed in the dynamics of the way you interact with people in your family, over the last couple of weeks? Has it changed, or are you perfect, or are you kind of just, also
perfect? Oh, no.
You fall victim also to the selfish bodybuilding lifestyle?
They know, because I've prepped for 17 shows. So this is not my first go around. So they know that all of a sudden I don't talk to them as much anymore. They don't take it personally. We talk after the show, but they know that I'm in my own little world, or they know if I'm really, really busy, because I have to do my 3rd cardio session. And it's just, plus, you got to get work in there too. Like this week, I actually booked clients off work. I'll have the occasional emergency, but when I'm in peak week, I don't want to work, because of what I do, I have to be so focused. Yeah. So if I have a client who's suicidal and I'm on super low carbs, and I've been on and I'm at the most.
Go kill yourself.
It's not like I could do it, but I don't want to expose myself to that situation unless I have to. If I have to, I will bring up whatever I need to, and I'll be there for the client. But it takes so much energy. You guys know what it's like going through peak week. Hopefully my coach tells me that tomorrow we're going to start adding a little carbs, or Wednesday. So hopefully I get a little bit of carbs, even if it's like 100 grams, I'll take it.
After hearing Seth's whole story and, how he overcame everything and where he's at now and how successful he is. When you have people who come to you and maybe, a lot of bodybuilders watch the show and then they do sessions with you and stuff like that. And if they complain and say, you know what, my girlfriend, my wife, they don't understand bodybuilding. They're always, I feel like I'm always like, you know, I feel guilty going to the gym. You know, what do you tell? What's your advice to these people? I mean, what do you tell these people? How do they to solve these problems? I mean, do you tell them find another girlfriend, or is there a way to somehow mesh these two?
Well, we try to see if we can mesh it. First of all, I asked them how much communication and clarity is there as far as expectations on when you're in prep versus when you're not in prep. What are, you know, as far as the roles you and your partner have? Because if it's if your partner is understanding that you're not going to be around a lot when you're coming close to show, but after the show, you give them lots of attention and they're willing to do that trade, then that can work. Now, they're going to have moments where they're going to miss you if there's holidays and stuff like that. But overall, if they're still kind of giving you pushback and you've had that communication, now, if it's a relatively new relationship, I might be saying you need to have a sit down with this person and this is what you need to lay it out. And then give them the decision. You know, you want this to work, but if they can't live up to those type of expectations, because if I want to be a bodybuilder and that's going to be too hard for you to deal with, I understand that, but then I can't be with you. Now, if you're already married, that's a different story. And then we'll do some couples counseling and we would have to re-examine to saying what kind of supports can we put into place, let's say for her, if the guy's the bodybuilder, I mean, obviously it can go the other way around. And I might need to do sessions with the female to say, look, this is from a female perspective and I'm the bodybuilder. Let me give you some perspective here. Because sometimes just hearing it from a female versus a male can make a huge difference. And I know that sounds a little weird, but it can. And can there be a point where a marriage may break up because of it? It could, but I say to people, what is more important? Your bodybuilding, if you have to make a choice, you want to try to juggle both. But if you had to make a choice between your marriage and bodybuilding, what are you going to choose? And I'm not talking about when you're in prep. I'm talking when you have a little bit more carbs in your system and you can think more clearly, what is more important? Because if the marriage has always been rocky, this might be the excuse almost that they need to get out of the relationship.
I think the resentment that if a woman resents the guy going to the gym and putting so much time into it in the beginning, it's only going to get worse, like Seth said, because it's going to get more intense as they get to a higher level, if they do, and it's gonna crumble. There's no way. Really, if you're a bodybuilder, you should find someone who, they don't necessarily someone who competes, but someone who works out at least, who can kind of like understand the mindset of, hey, I got to eat 6 times a day. I got to go to the gym 5 days a week. For prep, I got to do cardio. You know, I'm going to be in a bad mood. I might not talk to you, you know, or I might be grumpy. And because if no one understands that mentality, no normal person will put up with that. Am I right, Seth? Right? Oh. No normal person will.
And that one emotion that I tell people a lot, you used it, was resentment. The second that resentment shows up, oh buddy, that's a tough one to get back. Even if you ever do, it's not going to be the same. But no normal human being looks at a bodybuilder's lifestyle and says, I can't wait to be a part of this.
But it's a good test, what you were saying earlier, Seth, because we're testing the relationship. Because if they can't deal with that, even if you retire in a couple of years, keep in mind, most people who retire don't all of a sudden go to shit and then they stop working out. You know, a lot of people continue working out, maybe not to the same degree, and they like to eat more healthy, more or less, but they have overall that bodybuilding lifestyle. That doesn't stop when you stop competing for the most part. So they have to be on board with that. This is a lifetime commitment, whether you're competing or not. Do they meld into your life, and can you meld into theirs? And if not, you might have to look into parting ways.
And that's one thing I was thinking while you were talking was like, whenever you're discussing this with people, I kind of think like what the hell else are you going to do? Like, if this person wants to do bodybuilding shows and do something like incredible, like go after a dream, like a personal passion to them that they hold close, it's like, what the fuck else are you going to do? Like, you're just going to live your normal ass everyday Monday through Friday life, have beers on Friday night. Like, you're not going to ever do anything extravagant or go after anything unique. Like, that's kind of what I think. Like, that's why I love bodybuilding. It's like, yeah, it's like 16 weeks or a lifestyle of brutal mayhem. But man, I tell you, dude, there's no other feeling like standing on stage and like being on. It is awesome. So and that's why I'm like, what the fuck else are you going to do? Like, go ahead, go after it. And if that's not how somebody works, then it might not be time.
Yeah. You got to find someone who understands what you're doing. And I think that's the most important thing. You know, if you don't, it's going to be a very unfun experience for you, because you're going to constantly be sneaking around and making excuses why you have to go to the gym, why you have to eat, why you can't go to this wedding, or whatever the case may be. And quite frankly, you can't be a great bodybuilder if you have to be worried about another person.
Why are you sweating so much? Why are you sweating through your suit?
There's something wrong with you? Right.
And also, I also think it's important to involve your kids in it. Like, get them involved in it. You know, some people are like, oh, they shouldn't be. But I'm like, well, get physical with them. You know, go do fun shit. Teach them about lifting weights. Teach them about, I don't know, doing cardio, eating a healthier lifestyle, and rewarding yourself with a cheat meal. Like, teach them what you're actually doing. Like, I don't think it's a bad idea to teach your children about making sure they're eating a healthy lifestyle and then rewarding themselves through physical activity for us, like a sweet snack.
Right.
Like, I think it's a reward system that, I don't know, it works for me as an adult. It's worked for my kids, so I think it's a good idea.
My son's into hitting ab poses now in school. We and we don't even encourage bodybuilding at all. He's like working out now on his own, and he's like, Dad, check my abs out. And he's like, like, where did you learn this? It wasn't from me, that's for sure. You know, he just sees it. He's immersed in it. You know what I mean? And it's
I love it.
Yeah. Well, Seth, thank you for joining us today and giving us a real fresh perspective on family life versus bodybuilding, how to integrate them and how to make it work. And, you know, you learned on the road, so to speak. You know, you didn't have all the answers. You kind of figured it out along the way, and hopefully we can save some people some mistakes, right?
It was not a straight line, but I got there.
Lesley, best of luck in your show this weekend. Good luck.
You.
What's the name of the show you're competing in?
So it's the Legends Cup in Coburg, Ontario.
All right. Good luck over there. And guys, if you have any suggestions for future shows, put them in the comments below. If you want to check out Seth's company, it's All American Roughneck on Instagram. I've had the link up earlier before. And as always, I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you again next week.
Bye, guys.